Do you feel that this period of untreated illness benefited you in any way?
Oh, no.
I ask because I read and hear from people who think that schizophrenia and its symptoms are not a medical condition. They're more of a spiritual
Spiritual
opportunity.
experience. Yeah.
And some people would argue that we should not intervene and sort of let people find their path. What do you think about that as a...
I think it's like saying that Alzheimer's disease is not a disease. It's a spiritual experience. I mean, nobody would say that. That's ridiculous. For schizophrenia, too, I mean, it has concrete symptoms, hallucinations like I was having, delusions. My whole life was centered around my delusions, and that was sometimes a really thrilling feeling. But these delusions rendered me unable to volunteer, unable to work, unable to enjoy meaningful relationships. I'm isolated, I'm looking for food to eat out of the garbage. There was no point in leaving me in this deplorable, condition.
So today's Bethany looks at the old Bethany and this period of symptomatic illness as something of a catastrophe and a loss. But it seems that what you're describing it from when you were in that space, you found it somewhere thrilling or a land of opportunity, if you will, waiting for special things to happen. I'm wondering how you would have felt, or tell me more about how you did feel at the time when people tried to tell you you have an illness and we're going to intervene.
First of all, it's very, very insulting. You think I cannot have this schizophrenia. That could never happen to me. The thing was, when I was living outside on the streets, I was in my own little world. And when I thought about becoming a billionaire and the next Mother Teresa, it was really thrilling. When I got on medication, all the delusions went away. And I was left with this reality where I hadn't graduated from college. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I hadn't been promoted in my job. Like all these things that had happened to my friends and acquaintances, I had just missed because I was living in this delusional reality. So I don't see any benefit in letting this go on and on, When I was put on medication originally, I was disabled and the side effects were terrible, and I used to wish I could be homeless again. But when I finally found the right medication, which for me was clozapine, I didn't miss being homeless anymore. Instead of missing being homeless, I enjoyed playing the violin again. I went back to college. I got A's in college again. I enjoyed a normal life.
Let's talk a bit more about this period of intervention for when you were ill, because I'm trying to think about what your experience might instruct those of us who work on the treatment side or others who are receiving services to have better experiences and better outcomes. So it seems like when you were yanked off the street and put into a hospital and given medicines, you had some changes in the level of symptoms, but then you got, it sounds like you got well enough to realize that you had missed out on a lot of things. How would you rewrite that, or what suggestions would you have to try to make that kind of intervention more successful?
Well, I wish it had happened sooner. I wish I had been taken to the hospital sooner. I also wish that the doctors had sat down with me and explained to me what schizophrenia is. That it's a brain disorder, there's no shame in having it, it's a physical condition, that it's treatable. And I wish they had explained to me from day one that these antipsychotics are not like antibiotics, where you can take them for 2 weeks, stop them, and that's it. I wish they'd explained to me that every time I started my med, discontinued it, and then restarted it, it could potentially be less effective. So one of my doctors in Ohio during my second hospitalization drew a graph with peaks. Here's your prognosis now, here's your prognosis when you discontinue your med, here it is when you discontinue your med again, until you're so disabled. So I wish I had been told about schizophrenia on day one, and I had been told why I needed to always stay on this medication, what the catastrophic effects could be of discontinuing it, especially over and over again.